It actually happened. I still can't believe it's real. I remember in the beginnings of the PS3 era, how flabbergasted my 16-year-old self was at those graphical advancements. And would you look at that? The one game they chose to portray a tech demo of was our dear and beloved Final Fantasy VII. And then me and millions of other fans worldwide would go to whatever forums we had at the time to nerd out about how amazing it would be if something like a remake like that happened. Yeah, Square, it was your fault. You gave us the idea of that in the first place. Much later on, I vaguely remember reading something about Square not wanting to do an FF7R until they had actually made a game that surpassed the OG in every way. And honestly, I don't even have the source for that, so most was probably just a bunch of hooey. But one thing I do remember really well, it traumatized me. I mean, I thought to myself, well, that's probably never happening at all then. And then, it did. They finally listened. Either that or they just really needed the money. You know what? I believe in humanity. Let's stick with the former. And I played it. Believe you me, I played the living hell out of it. Front to cover, in and out, top to bottom, host to bang. I was way through half of the game, but still couldn't believe that it was actually happening. The wait was long. Too long. To the point it just felt like a pipe dream. I'm sure many of you felt that way too, but alas, it was real. I felt so lucky. Just imagine how many masterpieces deserve a quality remake. Yet I had the sheer luck of it happening with my favorite game. Period. But maybe it's because of that love for the game that something made me explode with anxiety when I finished it. But I'll fill you into that later. Let's focus on the positives for now. Well, for once, the battle system is actually good. Holy shit, I know, right? It's a miracle it worked. I was wrong. I admit it. But that just makes the game better, and I'm really happy about that. I was really worried. The materia system was masterfully adapted. You're able to do all the crazy shit you could before, especially when combining the blue orbs. Seriously, they're the best thing about this system. Always were. The 4 characters all feel different and unique when compared. There's so much to do with each one of them that I never seem to run out of options. The limit breaks, the individual skills, the summons. The new ATB system is both a huge callback to the original turn-based in and of itself and a great incentive for you to keep switching between characters and using different skills constantly, which makes you learn more about the gameplay without being forced to. It incentives you to try to think outside the box with different strategies and skill orders that change with the fights, since no boss fight really felt like it was just more of the same, except maybe the solo ones. But along with that ATB system, what they did with the weapons was f***ing perfect. The fact that each new weapon you get isn't just some direct upgrade over the last one, ultimately making all the other arms before it practically useless. Instead of that, you just get a different skill set, like, oh, this one has higher attack but lower defense, and this one has higher magic attack and low physical, making it so that whenever you get a new weapon, you get a new way to build your character depending on how you upgrade it. It can completely change your gameplay style, how fast you charge, how hard you hit, how many hits you can take, and so on, adding a lot more depth to the customization. I have to hand it to Kitase. I did not believe it was possible. If you've watched my past videos here, you might know how skeptic I was of his stance on no more turn-based for main titles. This game literally revolutionized an action RPG battle system, at least to me. Now I'm honestly not sure I prefer turn-based over something like this. Yeah, I actually said that. And believe me, I've played many titles, but no action JRPG quite captured the essence of the turn-based system in a modern era like this one. You know, the turn-based elitist prick inside me thought long and hard about admitting to this. But hey, I guess persistence pays off. I could go on and on about this system, but I think I've said enough. I didn't expect to enjoy it this much. The only real bad thing to me was the targeting. It's basically the same as in 15. And since I'm used to switching the camera angles every second, I just end up switching targets. They really should find a way around that. But I digress. Now, the music. They still got it. I honestly don't think there's been a single Final Fantasy where I did not like the music. Plus, Nobuo's comeback for that ending theme. Damn! The dynamic soundtrack must have taken them ages to perfect. It sounds so good. Those seamless transitions only add more to the immersion and, man, works out so well.
Take the lead.
So it's my turn? That's it!
The character designs and models are amazing. Seriously, I was astounded by the smoothness and variety of the character animations both in and out of combat. It brings a whole new feeling to telling a story. And couple that with the amazing voice acting. Like seriously, both versions are awesome. And this coming from a weeb lord whose total dubbed games played can be counted on one hand. Somebody please give that Barrett VA a trophy or something.
Though you may not be crying out, I know you're in pain, just like the planet. But it's okay, cause I'm here for you, to help take the load off your shoulders.
And for you older players there, don't even get me started with the references. It's a treasure trove of nostalgia. From the machine gun shop to the staircase scene to Aerith telling me I'ma catch holy hell.
Holy hell.
This game had me with a smile, ear to ear, for like 80% of it. The other 20% goes to the unnecessary shit like boring side quests. You know, like the ones that make you deliver cats. Great. And you know what? There were like 2 or 3 good side quests in the whole game. Sometimes I feel like devs should just play a little bit of The Witcher 3 when designing side quests to learn how to make it at least interesting. Other than that, the main dungeons also have some really needlessly long puzzle sequences. All of that culminates to a they have to fill your time with something feeling during the gameplay. You know what? Alright. Okay, you're probably thinking, great, this is just some biased idiot talking about how much he loves Final Fantasy VII like everyone else in the internet right now. But real talk here, I just did not want to seem like an asshole that hates even a fantastic game like this. But it's time. We're talking about the story. Quick disclaimer, I am about to spoil everything. Sorry, I tried. But I could not convey what I was feeling without just straight up talking about it. I hope you understand. If you don't want spoilers, stop this video right now and come back later. I'll be here. Go. Buy the game. Finish it. We'll talk then. Okay, if by any chance some of you watching did not understand the ending, I'ma be straight. You killed the physical manifestation of the thing that was making sure the timeline was right. In other words, keeping the story of the remake to what it was in the original game. Why? Why does that have to be a thing? Why does the story have to change? I f***ing swear. I was 1 hour of gameplay in when these f***s appeared on my precious Aerith scene, ruining my mood. And I shit you not, I legitimately thought to myself, oh, these things are going to ruin the story, aren't they? And lo and behold, by chapter 11, it was all clear to me why they existed. TLDR, they're just a huge plot device to give you some bullshit excuse to change the story. Not little changes here and there to make the story sound better. Not bits and pieces that just expand on the original narrative. No, sir. But who lives and who dies. Huge plot points that cemented what the earlier narrative was about. Seriously, at this point, there's absolutely no telling what on earth is going to happen from here on out. We old fans, we don't know shit anymore. All because of that damn Kingdom Hearts boss. Let me calm down. Listen, I know I'm jumping the gun here. It might not be that bad after all, but please try to understand my anxiety. You see, yeah, it's just my opinion, but bear with me here. There's a very important reason about why Final Fantasy VII's story is so memorable and so impacting. And I'm not talking about the deep, convoluted crap. Not about the Genova plot twist or the Promised Land or the Zack one. I'm talking about something way more simple. The moral of the story, the central part, and the reason why Aerith's death is the most iconic death in all of gaming. Woo! We're making bold claims tonight, but that moral is plain and simple. Shit happens. Tragedies like that are a part of life. There was no need for an epic climax death. And as edgy as Sephiroth is, he had a very good reason to keep Cloud alive, but not the one girl that could ruin his plan, so he got rid of her. But it's not because it was plain and simple that it wasn't important. It is, in fact, the turning point for everything. The unity between the main characters, their objectives, their dreams, their morals. They all develop and then coincide because of this one event where they failed. Sure, they eventually saved the planet, but they do it thanks to this. Thanks to an adversity that was so hard to accept, and yet that shaped them to care about each other and the world enough to carry on no matter what. In other words, the main principle they wanted to convey with Final Fantasy VII is that good people die. And they might die for no apparent reason most of the time. But that besides that crushing truth, the best way we can make it up for them is to just keep going, keep walking, and don't give in. And then we do our best to prevent that from ever happening again. Next time, we won't fail. At the end of the story in FF7R, killing Destiny heavily implies that you're there to change all that. In the long run, we got to save a lot of people in Sector 7. Biggs survived. And in the future, yes, Aerith might live too. Hell, for all we know, Zack might be alive, which is even worse to me. Like, great. Guess my favorite character isn't a martyr anymore. That amazing Crisis Core ending apparently doesn't count. Seriously, as much as I love a good shonen-esque defy all odds and prevail narrative, getting rid of the sustaining pillar, the main event upon which all of Final Fantasy VII's narrative and character development was based on, to me, saving Aerith is blatantly disregarding the best thing they ever wrote, and submitting to who the f*** knows what. Maybe peer pressure of those who didn't understand the beauty and genius of it all. Just think about it. Think about everything that happens later. The message is much more intricate than just an impacting death. The whole plot is about you returning to the planet. We're all linked. We need to understand that, yes, it's hard to go on, but Aerith is literally with them until the very end. And in said end, ultimately, it's up to the planet what happens next. And that is something that this game taught me when I was 9 years old, that I took with me my whole life. Shit happens, but we carry on. Now, I understand there's a lot more to it when writing a game like this, but that's honestly how it made an amateur writer like me feel, especially when it's about my favorite game. And now, I'm afraid. I'm just afraid that my favorite game that was promised to me and that presented itself with this level of quality and detail could become a completely different thing from here onwards. A totally different game. And then that I'd never get the full experience of Final Fantasy VII as I did in my childhood. Because if that doesn't happen now, it will never happen. But again, let's try to look for a positive in this. First of all, how many people unceasingly tried everything they could to revive Aerith? How many people, especially back in the day, would theorize day and night on ways to do it, but could never achieve it unless they had a Game Shark. But of course there was no canon way to do it. It was impossible. I mean, like we established before, it would defeat the purpose of the story. And on that, one of the saddest possible things that still gets me to this day. Yep. This photo. You remember this? There's a point in the story where Aerith tells you how much she would love to go on a ride in the Highwind one day. But unfortunately, by the time Sid finally gets his precious aircraft back, it's too late. And even though I'd rather have the original narrative, I'd honestly keep on buying this just for the fact that I could make this a reality. I mean, as we say in Brazil, if you're in hell, you might as well just give the devil a hug. Another less possible outcome is the fact that they are promising us boundless freedom. To make this into a choose-your-own-future kind of game, where the timeline's open to free choice from this game onward, where some choices could lead you to the canon ending, and others might lead you to the Neverland everyone is happy and alive ending. You know, except Jessie, because apparently she has to die. What do you people have against her? She gets screwed over the whole game. They were directly under 1/8 of a whole metropolis, and that fell directly on them. But Biggs is alive and well. What the fuck? Alright, I'm done. But please, you people gotta understand how much I loved this game. And if you're watching this up to now, you probably love it just as much as I do, whether you agree with me or you don't. I really mean it when I say the remake is amazing. But that's all the more reason for me to be frustrated that I might just not have the story that originally impacted me so much during my life. I hope we do get to choose. But looking at the colossal amount of work that's probably going to take doesn't seem realistic at all. Ooh. I needed to get this out because I can't be the only one going through this. And if you're on the same boat, I feel you, man. Final Fantasy VII is a very special game to me, for a number of reasons. It was there as an immersive escape during the times I needed it the most in my life. And coincidence or not, it came back to me in one hell of an experience during a dark time for all of us. And please, don't let the unnecessary fluff or meaningless side quests and content filler that the game has make you think any different. It's an amazing game that achieved everything I've been found wanting in Square Enix titles ever since 2006. No exaggeration. I really felt like playing Final Fantasy VII for the first time, except in the ending. That kinda left a sour taste. But let's celebrate. Take what we have. Hope that the next games can only get better and better in aspects of production. I'm just worried about where these story tracks will take us. Because, you know, there ain't getting off of the train we're on. Guys, that's all we have for this video. Thank you so much for watching until the end. I'd like to give credit to a blog post by Trent Seely that I read back in 2018, where the guy was actually predicting that this was going to happen. It's a great read. The link is in the description. I urge you guys to check it out and give it a quick look. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like down below, and if you like my channel or my content, subscribe and hit the bell so you can know whenever I post new stuff like this. I love doing this, and I hope you guys love watching it. Until next time, this has been Ktsu, signing out.